The fuck?
I'll give you my whole body. Just please don't tell nobody when I pull up
Oh my god, bro.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another Kagurabachi Sunday. This week we got another relatively short chapter, with it being 15 pages as well, just like the other two. There could be a few reasons for this. One is Hokuzono still recovering from whatever illness or condition he developed to cause the manga to go on break in the first place. He could also just be getting back into the flow of writing chapters, or it could honestly be that he just feels like that this is the length these chapters should be. But anyways, I don't really care too much because they've all just been really good so far. So it's not even that much of a complaint for me. Anyways though, I do want to get straight into talking about the chapter because I really want to focus on the thematic elements in this one, which to me are the most important aspect of the chapter overall, especially with some of the later pages. The chapter begins with the Masumi outside after Shiba had teleported them, with the leader pointing out that the rain has started to heat up. It was raining at the start of this set of chapters when the Masumi initially arrived, but now the temperature of the rain has changed. The exact reason for this so far is kind of unclear, but it's definitely a side effect of the forging of the Dattenseki. Two of the reasons we get for that is one of them just, the Dattenseki is an incredibly sensitive material, and when heat, spiritual energy, anything like that is infused into it, it creates a huge reaction. As we see, the forge also starts to go out of control. The other, though, is provided by Subaru, with this being the god's anger. Kind of like with the Mikoboshi who worshipped the stone as god, this is a reflection of that, with tampering with the force you don't fully understand results in consequences that almost seem spiritual or divine in a way. Like the ground quite literally getting so hot that water evaporates when it hits it. We get a little cut of Chiaki, who, due to her seeing the future, knows what events are currently happening right now. And I do want to draw attention to this panel for a little bit, because there could be another reason why she is staying outside right now. As we know, the princess's powers mainly activate when she sleeps, but they can activate at other times. So my assumption of another reason why she is staying up, because my guess is a princess does have quite the early curfew, is because if she goes to sleep, she could be scared she might be seeing that future that all of us are also terrified of seeing as well, which is just kind of a very horrifying thought to think of. The chance that you go to sleep and just have a dream that literally is so real it physically affects you when you wake up, and what happens in that dream is quite literally the worst thing that could happen to a human being, or one of the worst things. We cut back over to Kunishige's group, and Joji is the first to leave the forge. Now, I don't blame the guy at all. After all, he isn't a swordsmith, so he isn't conditioned to deal with these extreme temperatures like the others are. However, he doesn't leave the premises, he just stays outside and kind of observes the rain, just straight up evaporating when it hits the ground. So I do think once the Masumi finish their barrier, they might try to go back in to deal with Kunishige's group again, and Joji can be the first person they have to get by. I also want to preference just how much of real demons Kunishige and Subaru are. Like, these guys are literally insane for what they do in this chapter. The nuclear bomb raw material is quite literally nearly imploding in front of them, and they're just on the fuck it we ball. Because, once again, we have to remember, the other option if this doesn't go through is shit, it's terrible. So, why not make the full sacrifice play anyways? Because if you end up going with the other plan, everyone in Japan is gonna die anyways. Now, the last few pages we get here are my favorite pages of maybe the flashback as a whole. Just the symbolism we get with Kunishige's eyes is such a beautiful thing, because he originally sees his eyes as his greatest shame, because it's the thing that makes him closest to his father. So the first things he sees out of those eyes are the abuse his father inflicted on his mother and him, followed by his mother's suicide because of his eyes. But as they fade to black, the light returns to them when he sees what he got to see out of those eyes. He got to see Chiaki. He had someone care for him. He had someone want to be with him, to spend time with him forever, in her own words. So those eyes went from being a curse he has to see every day of his life to being probably his greatest gift, because with eyes that amazing, you don't miss a single detail when you look at the person you love. And of course, the last double spread of the chapter is as beautiful as double spreads always are in this series. Now, I know it's definitely not true, but in the back of my head, I was thinking, I wonder if they made him use negative space here because they were getting sick of him using up all the ink in the issues they've been releasing. But of course, this is just meant to boost the intensity of the flames that they're currently dealing with. Now, something I did got asked when I was on a long stream is Is there going to be any Shiba slander this week? Can I hold myself back? And you know, I think I will. I will be the bigger man for today. And I will not point out how he didn't throw a single punch like I said he totally would at the end of my last chapter review, since he never does. But hey, you know, I'm the bigger man. I can ignore that. I cannot make a joke about that. I will just move on and instead talk about my predictions for what I think is happening next week. Now, next week, I totally think is going to be the last of the smithing section. I think the material is finally going to be stabilized here, and we're going to begin to see the actual blade be forged. How long I think that'll take? Probably quite a few chapters, honestly. I imagine the forging process will begin, and then we'll cut over to probably the Soga clan, maybe get some more Chiaki and Akamura POV like we did before. I still think that they will be arriving with the first enchanted blade at the trade. That will be the point where Kunoshige shows up and puts a stop to everything. More so Subaru with the enchanted blade, but it'll be his creation that shows up and puts an end to this sacrifice of just a young woman's autonomy for the sake of a country that's going to use another young child's autonomy to probably not even win a war. I do imagine Joji will probably be sticking with them throughout all this. I've really grown attached to the guy throughout these past few chapters. He's just like, dude, you know? He's just a guy, and I really like him for that. He's doing the best he can. There's moments where he can't really perform like the other guys, but he still stays around to do what he can. He doesn't leave the entire area when he can't handle the heat like the other swordsmiths can. He stays outside and probably remains on guard duty. I also think the Masumi might be switching sides as well. Maybe that could be the reason why in the future they're following a sword bearer, because this is when the clan first sees a sword bearer, aka being Subaru, and kind of just sees them as people worthy enough to fight alongside and to assist. How I think they'll do that is just seeing the results of Kunoshige's work. Just the belief that, yes, he can do this. Like we've seen with so many people. We saw with Hasumi, with Joji. When you see Kunoshige do the things he can do, it just influences you so much. It's like hope being injected into your veins. And we already kind of saw the Masumi leader being shook by Kunoshige when Kunoshige didn't take his eyes off the forge for a second. And even the other members were impressed with his allies. So I do genuinely think that the Masumi will be switching up here and probably remain by the Kunoshige's side, at least until the war starts, because, you know, I say that every chapter review, but these guys get slaughtered during the war, so it's kind of a ticking time bomb. But yeah, overall, that's just my thoughts on the chapter. It was a really good chapter. I loved all this amazing themes we were getting with this one. But give me all your thoughts on the chapter below. Let me know what you liked about it. Where do you think the story's going from here? Do you think this is the ending of the smithing section? And are we moving on to the forging of the blade itself? Anyways though, please like and subscribe. Shout out to my members.
We are Coolest Armored Squadron!
And one more little thing I'd like to do is answer the questions my members left under some chapter reviews that I haven't quite answered yet. So 2 weeks ago, Blade of Void left the question, what do I think the remaining enchanted blade powers will be? Well, honestly, that's a pretty hard question because enchanted blade powers are heavily connected to the bears, and someone like Pink Bear we've barely seen anything of, and with Subaru we are just kind of getting an understanding of now. I still think his enchanted blade will be heavily connecting to cooking with his abilities, maybe being something like, I don't know, with the heat we're getting in this chapter, he could have an ability called Boil, maybe a cutting ability similar to Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen, and maybe he'll have an ability that boosts himself as well, something like Nishiki. As for Pink Bear, I do think her character will still be heavily connected to raw strength, as I think she'll be the exact opposite of what the master swordsmen of this universe assume women to be, with her being everything that opposes their sexist views. So with that, I'll see you guys all next week. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.